Wilde was an Irishman in England, yet to many of his Irish contemporaries, Oscar, being prosperous and Protestant, was an Englishman in Ireland. Is it any wonder he was at home only in contradictions? He adored Ireland, he adored society, and yet he was detached from both, being himself a citizen of no man's land, where disobedience is the rule of law.
I can stand brute force, but brute reason is quite unbearable. There's something unfair about its use. It is hitting below the intellect.
Disobedience, in the eyes of anyone who has read history, is man's original virtue. It is through disobedience progress has been made, through disobedience and through rebellion.
The English country gentleman galloping after a fox, the unspeakable in full pursuit of the uneatable.
Sometimes the poor are praised for being thrifty, but to recommend thrift to the poor is both grotesque and insulting. It is like advising a man who is starving to eat less.
For a town, as country labourer, to practice thrift would be absolutely immoral. Man shouldn't be ready to show that he can live like a badly fed animal. He should decline to live like that, and should either steal or go on the rates, which is considered by many to be a form of stealing. As for begging, it is safer to beg than to steal. But is it finer to beg than to take? No. A poor man who is ungrateful, unthrifty, discontented, and rebellious is probably a real personality and has much in him. He is, at any rate, a healthy protest.
The real tragedy of the poor is that they can afford nothing but self-denial. Beautiful sins, like beautiful things, are the privilege of the rich.
Christ mocked at the whitened sepulchres of respectability and fixed that phrase forever. He treated worldly success as a thing to be absolutely despised. He saw nothing in it at all. He looked on wealth as an encumbrance to a man. He would not hear of life being sacrificed to any system of thought or morals. He pointed out that forms and ceremonies were made for man, not man for forms and ceremonies.
With the abolition of private property, then we shall have true, beautiful, healthy individualism. Nobody will waste his life in accumulating things and the symbols for things. One will live. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that is all.
When private property is abolished, there will be no necessity for crime, no demand for it. It will cease to exist.
To be entirely free, and at the same time entirely dominated by law, is the eternal paradox of human life.
As long as war is regarded as wicked, it will always have its fascination. When it is looked upon as vulgar, it will cease to be popular. The change will, of course, be slow, and people will not be conscious of it. They will not say, "We will not war against France because her prose is perfect." But because the prose of France is perfect, they will not hate the land. Intellectual criticism will bind Europe together in bonds far closer than those that can be forged by shopman or sentimentalist. It will give us the peace that springs from understanding.
It seems to me that love of some kind is the only possible explanation of the extraordinary amount of suffering that there is in the world.
Those who find beautiful meanings in beautiful things are the cultivated. For these there is hope. They are the elect to whom beautiful things mean only beauty.
Those who find ugly meanings in beautiful things are corrupt, without being charming. This is a fault.
Fortunately, in England at any rate, thought is not catching. Our splendid physique as a people is entirely due to our national stupidity. I only hope we shall be able to keep this great historic bulwark of our happiness for many years to come. but I am afraid we are beginning to be overeducated. At least, everybody who is incapable of learning has taken to teaching. That is really what our enthusiasm for education has come to.
The crude commercialism of America, its materializing spirit, its indifference to the poetical side of things, and its lack of imagination and of high, unattainable ideals are entirely due to that country having adopted for its national hero a man who, according to his own confession, was incapable of telling a lie.
We have really everything in common with America nowadays. Except, of course, language.
To get the best society nowadays, one has either to feed people, amuse people, or shock people. That is all.